supposed to do? Take her somewhere safe?
Mm-hmm.
Luke. You're here. Moira said they let you go. I'm so happy to see your face.
Jim looked at it. 12's got the USB. He's working on it.
Thank you.
Are you okay? Did she hurt you?
No, she had a baby.
While you were there?
Yeah. It's a boy, and he's healthy, well, healthy enough. He may have jaundice, but that's, that's completely normal for babies, right? So they may just put him under one of those little lamps, and then he'll
Jim, what's going on with Serena?
She's fine.
She's fine.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. Let's go.
Oh, hold on. Give me a second. In the Waterford's room. 211 down the hall.
What's going on?
Don't worry. They're not here for us. Come on. Serena Waterford, we are Canadian immigration. You are being detained.
Detained. Hey. Where?
As an undocumented person, you have no immediate right to accuse.
What is going on?
Illegal border crossing, lack of immigration status.
You called them?
She gave up her diplomatic visa when she left that little visitor center.
What about my baby?
The detention facility has no infant care.
She mad at him?
My baby right now.
Child protection unit is already here. The overseas kid. That's all I can tell you.
You can't do that. No, please, please, please. Oh,
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later. I cannot enter. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Goodbye, Mrs. Gosworth.
My sweet girl.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me, Mr. Fiddick.
Know about him?
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial
First
information?
resource is to look at the police officers who work in the area. They know the players usually,
Children at
and
risk because of
the
his
people
own
that run
negligence.
around the streets.
They're in luck. The officers identified one of the
This
suspects
personal
straight away.
involvement could also
They
appear to be
immediately were able to identify the shooter as an
You
individual
must know
by
that
the
a
name
good
of Vampyr
search
Simmons.
I agree. That does not excuse Dr. Aykroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
You think keeping his distance was a mistake?
Officers are
All I know
immediately
is that I'm taking
dispatched to
care
his
of
last
human
known
beings
address.
with desires, hopes, and fears.
They're
It's
not
a biological machine comprised of
They're
blood,
going to do
bones,
whatever
and
they can
flesh.
to maintain their freedom.
Detectives released the images of the suspects to the state's media.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Police released this surveillance video. They say shows the suspect, 17-year-old Debonair Simmons.
Well, Columbus police say this wanted suspect is armed and dangerous, and police are urging the public not to confront him.
If you release a photo of someone, there's a chance that you spook them. There's a chance that you make them more dangerous. But you've got to look out for the public safety.
The news report is a risk that pays off. It sparks an immediate response.
So there was a woman saw the news reports and recognized the individuals who committed the homicide.
She could identify the male with the white shirt as Mr. Nathaniel Brunner, and he's 18. And she knew this male because it was her ex-boyfriend.
She says Simmons and Bruner took her green Pontiac.
Thank you, ma'am. That's incredibly helpful information.
At this point, you've got two dangerous individuals. We know they're willing to kill. It's a matter of time before someone else gets killed.
It's been 3 days since Imran was shot. 25 miles west of Columbus, Deputy Gibson of the Madison County Sheriff's Office is on his night shift.
July 27th was a regular night.
It's locked
We're sort of driving around when a radio call came in for a report of a shooting at a truck stop that was within a quarter mile of my location. this is an emergency.
Good evening, Miss Hunt. How are you today?
Imran Ashgar's assassins have been on the run for 3 days. Now, 25 miles to the west,
I'll leave you.
law enforcement have yet another shooting on their hands.
And that's where I encountered the
Good evening, Mr. Allen.
He had been shot.
Dr. Reid.
William Joe Runt is in a critical state.
Why do you feel
His face
responsible for
and
the
jaw
injury
area
to us?
was
What
fairly
really
disfigured with a good amount of blood.
I
Really thought that Mr. Rudd's injuries would be fatal, and I started filming short video clips.
Tell me.
Immediately recognized
I went with a
that I
whore
had
in Milan.
a shooting victim who could tell me
Dead
his
drunk
story.
I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? You were trying to avoid going back to the front. That's not uncommon.
No. Okay, and they
Just
didn't
that I
team
was
up to
asleep
you.
when the
Mr.
flames
Rudd
reached
was
the
quite
room.
remarkable, and it's my thought that what I was
girl with the long
recording
gun.
was Mr. Rudd's last
Bitch never woke
testimony.
me up. Left me to
And
burn.
if I didn't collect his initial important information immediately, we lost
Why lie
time.
about it?
Come on.
What did they look like?
One thing to come back disfigured by the
Heavy
Germans.
set, thin build, medium
It's
build?
another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to
Skinny and
anybody.
tall. What were they wearing? Do you remember? Shorts. Shorts? Okay. Do you remember what color shorts? No.
What's today?
Wednesday.
That mean he didn't work today.
He was off Monday.
Oh, so he had to work today.
Don't recognize his face. They look at the footage for
Reconstructive
any other
surgery has
clues.
been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here, just be forgotten.
The shooter is not working.
That you can tell from the video that these are young kids. These are teenagers. They were smiling.
How
giggling.
close are
It
you
was,
to Miss Walker?
you know, it's disturbing to watch.
Are you
People
aware
just,
that she thinks she
they didn't take it seriously at all.
Wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here.
Detectives keep watching.
Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty.
From this camera angle, we can see that the man
Aren't you
exited
afraid?
the store.
She may hurt.
Detectives think they fled
She's
the
quite
scene,
harmless. I
but
can
just
assure
a few
you.
seconds later,
Her head's
they
broken
unexpectedly
inside.
reappear.
My arm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof.
Now joined by a third man.
The male with the blue t-shirt hat can be seen being pulled into the store.
Did you let
One of
her
them-
bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops
Walk
of
up to
my
him
blood.
to see if he's still
Hey,
alive.
it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less.
Something grabs the detective's
Willing.
attention.
And it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
Yeah, this camera angle it shows
You do
clearly
realize
a
she's
non-shooter
mentally disturbed.
in the white t-shirt, got a
It's called the
semi-automatic
cutoff.
handgun. When he's talking with the shooter, he's
True.
gesturing with it, and it's
In
one
my
flash to see
mind,
that he's also armed.
He refers to a scar.
We're dealing with two dangerous individuals. Keep watching.
The man wearing the blue t-shirt walks over to the two men, and it's obvious they're having some kind of discussion with words.
How
The
close are you
individual
to
in
Miss
the
Walker?
white t-shirt
Are you aware
looks
that
like
she's
he's directing the shooter
Wait
in the
for her
orange
next
t-shirt. He
nibble
appears
is the
to
best
ask,
reason to
say,
stay here.
you go take care of this. You
Every
finish
time
this.
she
You
approaches
didn't
my
kill him. You
bed,
need to
she
finish the
treats
job,
me
and
like
you need to get out of here.
tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you
They
afraid?
play on,
She may
anxious
hurt.
to see what happens next.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside. Her arm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof.
The man with the orange t-shirt
Goodbye for now.
reapproaches the counter where Mr. Ashgar is behind. He takes careful aim, and he fires a second shot at Mr. Ashgar.
Good evening, Miss Howard.
It's a cold-blooded assassination.
You're willing to shoot someone in the face? You want to finish the job to make sure that no one's
Tell me,
testifying against you.
Why do you feel so attached to
Commit
Mr.
that
L?
type of crime and shoot a person the second time who can never ever defend
I'm not
themselves.
sure,
Their
Doctor.
actions were just ruthless.
I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered.
This angle may also offer detectives a possible motive.
Find interesting.
The suspect can be seen reaching into the counter area, but it's
Do you plan to make
what he's
him a
reaching for
vampire?
or what he is trying to do.
How could I inflict my
Whatever he
curse
is
on anybody
doing,
else?
It's just out of shot.
Would you say you and Mr. Howard
Detectives switch to the third camera on the far end of the counter.
I've done several murders where the camera
But I am
is
not the woman
just,
he needs.
6 inches
No,
off frame for the shooting. But when you get a good camera angle like this, it's wonderful.
The angle shows an even view of an innocent man's execution.
I'll leave you.
It's terribly sad every time you see it. Anyone who can come into a store and shoot someone without demanding anything is an individual who needs to be locked up, and the key needs to be thrown away.
Detectives now want to know what the killer is reaching for.
After the second shot, the man with the orange t-shirt can be seen reaching around the counter area, but cannot open up the cash register.
It's clear when you see them reach the cash register that that's what they're there for. They're there for the money, and they're just not bright enough to get the cash. Where the individual reaches and makes such a small effort to get money and doesn't get it, it's just like, oh well, and kills an individual over that. It's staggering, the callousness.
After the three suspects leave the store, Howard returns and calls 911, just as he told police. He's cleared of any involvement. With no sign of a getaway vehicle, detectives need names in order to track them down.
Is this a one-time thing? Is this going to continue? Has this person already done this before and we don't know about it?
The police are in a race against time to ensure that this person doesn't kill again. First resource is to look at the police officers who work in the area. They know the players usually, and the people that run around the streets.
They're in luck. The officers identified one of the suspects straight away.
They immediately were able to identify the shooter as an individual by the name of Debonair Simmons.
He had previously broken into a house and threatened the homeowner with a knife.
Officers are immediately dispatched to his last known address, but he's not there.
They're now on the run. They're scared. They're going to do whatever they can to maintain their freedom.
Detectives released the images of the suspects to the state's media.
You won't need any of these anyway.
Police released this surveillance video. They say it shows the suspect, 17-year-old Debonair Simmons.
Well, Columbus police say this wanted suspect is armed and dangerous, and police are urging the public not to confront him.
If you release a photo of
No
someone,
one has claimed your body.
there's a chance that you spook them. There's a chance that you make them more dangerous. But you've got to look out for the public safety.
I will not forget you, sir.
The
And I
news
thank
report
you
is
for
a
your
risk
generous
that pays
donation.
off. It sparks an immediate response.
So there was a woman saw the news reports and recognized the individuals who committed the homicide.
She could identify the male with the white shirt as
It's locked,
Mr.
all
Nathaniel
right.
Brunner, and he's 18. And she knew this male because it was her ex-boyfriend.
She says Simmons and Bruner took her green Pontiac.
Thank you, ma'am. That's incredibly helpful information.
At this point, you've got two dangerous individuals. We know they're willing to kill. It's a matter of time before someone else gets killed.
It's been 3 days since Imran was shot. 25 miles west of Columbus, Deputy Gibson of the Madison County Sheriff's Office is on his night shift.
July 27th was a regular night. was sort of driving around when a radio call came in for a report of a shooting at the truck stop that was within a quarter mile of my location. This is an emergency.
Imran Ashgar's assassins have been on the run for 3 days. Now, 25 miles to the west, law enforcement have yet another shooting on their hands.
And that's where I encountered William Rudd for the first time. He had been shot in the head.
William Joe Rudd is in a critical state.
Part of his face and jaw area was fairly disfigured with a good amount of blood. Really thought that Mr. Rudd's injuries would be fatal. And I started filming short video clips. Immediately recognized that I had a shooting victim who could tell me his story. Partner, tell me, how did you first meet these two guys? Okay, you saw them in the parking lot. Did you pull in here? So did you pull in here to get gas? Yeah. Okay, and they just came up to you? Mr. Rudd was quite remarkable. It was my thought that what I was recording was Mr. Rudd's last testimony. And that if I didn't collect this initial important information immediately, I'd be lost forever. What did they look like? Heavy set, thin build, medium build?
How are you?
Skinny tall. Skinny and tall. What were they wearing? Do you remember? Shorts. Shorts? Do you remember what color shorts?
Mistress of the Dark. To your nocturnal activities.
That was the first moment that we started to develop a profile of who the potential suspects are. Do you remember which one shot you? Okay. What sort of gun was it? I don't know. It seemed like a pistol. A pistol? Okay. Why did they shoot you? I don't know. So now we have a stolen vehicle, armed suspects, and we don't know where they're going. What type of vehicle is it? Dodge Magnum. Blue in color? Gray in color. Okay.
Paramedics can't wait a moment longer. Joe Rudd is rushed to hospital for emergency treatment.
Good evening. He may very well die. We're about 20 to 30 minutes from the nearest trauma center.
Violent blood.
From William Rudd's description of his suspects and his vehicle, we were able to, within minutes, start broadcasting information to surrounding law enforcement agencies.
This is Deputy Gibson. It's a gray Dodge Magnum. The occupants are 2 teenagers. Black. Male.
The victim's mother, Pat Rudd, is fast asleep as the phone rings.
I got a phone call and I thought, oh, well, that's Joe. Hello? Joe? I picked up the phone and heard this terrible screaming. And it was his ex-wife. They had contacted her and she said, Joe's been shot in the head. You can't bring a child into the world and then hear news like that and not think this is the worst thing in the world that could ever happen to anybody. I don't remember ever being so upset, so devastated. Felt like somebody had ripped my heart out of my body. And so I just hung up, tried to stay calm, and started packing a few clothes. I didn't know what I was going to find when I got to the hospital. I just knew that we had to get there.
As officers seal off the crime scene, Detective Sinneth happens to be driving by.
On July 27th, I had been working.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused the patient.
And I seen that they had a major crime scene going on. Piqued my interest. Knew it was a possible.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett in our situation?
The description and M.O. matched that of Imran Ashgar's killers.
There was a very good chance at that point in time, there's Mr. Brunner and Mr. Simmons. They guided me towards their lead investigator, who was going to show me the video.
The gas station has no cameras outside by the pumps, so there's no footage of the shooting. But there are cameras inside the store itself. Witnesses said the shooters were inside the truck stop before the attack took place.
As a field surgeon,
The employees
I
of
know
the truck
that
stop
some
have been really helpful. It already narrowed
I'm
it
not
down
proud of
to
what
the
I've
time
done,
frame
but to contain the
when
epidemic
the
must
shooting
be our
happened,
priority.
and they set a
So we
camera
can't
to
afford
give
to
them
lose
the
Dr. Tippett.
best viewable angles.
If it's the same shooters, they're killers on a spree. And there's no knowing how many more bodies could turn up. Following a second shooting at a gas station in Ohio, detectives fear they could be dealing with killers on a spree.
Thank you for your concern,
To
but I'm
find out,
fine.
detectives hope the security cameras can ID the shooters. The store manager brings up the first camera and cues it to 2 a.m., the time witnesses say the men came into the store.
Call me if you need assistance.
The video shows two gentlemen enter the shot. They matched William Rudd's description of his suspect.
It's obvious that these are the guys who would eventually shoot and try to kill William Rudd.
But is Detective Simmons also looking at his fugitives?
One of the suspects approaches the counter, and he's quickly joined by the second suspect. They make purchase of the counter.
They're not nervous, they're not upset, they're not worried. They're going about their business looking for snacks.
The two men also match the description of Imran Ashgar's killers. But the footage is too grainy to be certain.
You got anything close?
They switch to a camera covering the food aisles.
You can see them walking through the store.
One of them appeared to be cold from the temperature.
You see him with his hands inside of his shirt.
They don't look like they're looking to hurt anyone. They just look like two teenagers in a gas station. But they basically are sharks circling their prey. They're looking for someone that they can prey upon. They had locked onto their prey, William Rudd.
But the image still isn't clear enough to ID them. So Detective Simmons cues up one final camera overlooking the main walkway. It's his last chance to get a clear look at their faces.
Clear on.
This time, the close-up image reveals the suspect's features.
It was definitely Mr. Brunner. I'm viewing the video from Mr. Ashgar's homicide. Everything matched. It was him.
While the image of the second male isn't as clear, Detective Simmons
Good evening,
is
Mr.
confident
Good
he
evening,
can
Dr.
ID.
Any news about my operation?
Sure it was Mr.
Nothing.
Simmons
Goodbye for now,
because
Mr. Fitton. I'll see you later.
mannerisms, haircut, the way he was walking.
The footage confirms detectives' worst fears.
These guys just didn't care about anyone, didn't even care about themselves. It makes them even more dangerous than they were before.
Good evening, Mr. Fitton. Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
They're thinking, I don't want to be caught by the police, so I'm gonna shoot someone, get a car,
Tell me about
get
your
as far away as I
injury.
can.
Why do you feel so guilty
From the
about
Dodge
it?
Magnum,
My wife
as
died because
every
of me.
officer in the state is
No,
put
I'm
on
not
red
losing
alert.
anything because I've been careless.
These people have regard for human life, and that's a scary proposition. They're going to keep shooting and stealing and getting what they need.
How could your job... I was working at
Columbus. Joe Rudd's parents
She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb
I was so
raid.
afraid when I got to the hospital, not knowing.
You
if
can't
worst
hold yourself
part
responsible for your injury, Mr. Vidic. Unless you've tried
blown
to.
out his jaw.
Of course I didn't hurt myself.
I was swollen
But I can't
shut,
work
and-
until my arm is
I mean,
fixed.
it's a
My
terrible, terrible
children need
sight.
to eat, Doctor.
But he was alive.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Vidic. I'll see you later.
I knew that I'd been shot, the bullets in my neck, and but I didn't realize how close things were. The bullet traveled within an eighth of an inch of an artery. If it would have severed that artery, I would have lied there and had stroke after stroke and would have died in the parking lot. The bullet still lodged in my neck. It was dangerous to go in and remove it because of the location of the bullet. I didn't put up a fight, and they just shot me. The gun never left my head. I knew that their intentions at that point were to kill me. And that's when I took this shot to the head. Don't know what kept me from just passing out. I think I stayed alive to make sure they wouldn't be out to
How can I be
hurt
sure
others.
I'll not find your
So-
unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my
With armed and dangerous killers on the run,
How can you say such a
detectives
thing?
know the chances of another attack are high.
I
But they
tried
have
to
no
warn you
idea
for so
where the
long.
shooters
I
are.
won't let my only
At
son
that
die.
point, the police are on the
You
lookout
promised
for
me
any
you'd
car that
stay
matches the
alive.
description.
Your son lied
Well,
to
you've done once.
like the whole
Killing again is
world
not a
lies
big
to
deal.
us.
It's the police's job to track them down and get them in custody.
It's a statewide emergency as police sweep Ohio for Simmons, Bruner, and the gray Dodge Magnum.
You keep with it. You never stop. They're now on the run, and whoever they run across is also in danger of being assaulted by them.
Within hours, an officer spots Joe's gray Dodge Magnum in Dayton, 50 miles from where he was shot.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives.
He kept an eye on the vehicle,
Goodbye, Milton.
and he waited for uniformed officers to respond to the location.
Responding officers waste no time in approaching the vehicle.
You make sure you know what you're doing, and you make sure that you know if it comes to a deadly result that you're not the one on the losing end. The only thing you can hear is your heart pounding through your chest.
You don't approach a car like that with felons that have murdered someone very lightly. They're on a crime spree. This is not going to end well.